Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources. On today's edition of Helping Seniors TV, learn about Social Security planning from the experts. August Velten of August H. Velten Associates Incorporated joins Helping Seniors TV host Joe Steckler, and they discuss strategies to maximize your lifetime Social Security benefits and the optimal time to begin taking benefits. In fact, if you've already started taking benefits, you may even want to stop. Learn more in this valuable discussion.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to this edition of Helping Seniors. And with me on the taping site is August Velten he is a certified life underwriter, and it's August Velten and Associates. I would like to try to explain what a CLU is, August, but I'm not going to do it. You're going to explain to our audience what a CLU is.
Sure. It's just a professional designation in the insurance business. You go through 10 courses and be in the industry for a while, and it's just a matter of understanding how insurance products work and how they can be used to help people out. Simple as that.
It is simple, but to you it's simple, but to that guy that's on the other side of that camera that I'm looking at is not simple.
I agree with that.
You're darn right you agree, because insurance is probably one of the most misunderstood commodities we have available.
Absolutely true.
Yes, because there are ways that, very, very inexpensive ways, that insurance can help the average citizen, but the average citizen doesn't want to become involved with insurance.
Correct.
And the reason I say that, and this is not really on, and probably you can pick up a little bit on this, because I'm a great believer in what we call term life.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, August Velten, view the term life product for people?
We can talk about that for a second. There's a reason to have term life in a stage of your life, which is normally when you're younger, and you need a fair amount of assets or a replacement of lost wages when you have young children.
Right.
So if somebody needs $500,000 and they have 3 children and they're in their maybe early 30s, they can't afford to buy what's called permanent insurance, which is a cash value buildup, which is used for people normally in a certain other stage of life. So if you need $500,000, there's no way that you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 a month on $500,000 of insurance when you're 32 years old with 3 children. So you buy term insurance, and then you can buy term insurance 10-year, level term, 20-year, 30-year. And it's meant to take you through a period of time when your income has to be replaced for, again, college expenses or just the home bills that the family has, et cetera. On the other hand, a permanent policy, and I don't mind taking time here, a permanent policy works this way, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Permanent policy works this way. It used to be that at age 100, a permanent policy would what they call endowed. That means that if you had $100,000 worth of face amount life insurance and you were 100 years old, the cash value would be $100,000. So the face amount matched the cash value in the policy when you're age 100.
Right.
Since it's quite expensive, if you had to spend, let's say, $100,000 premium when you're age 100 to get $100,000 worth of life insurance, think of it that way. They back that up. So someone now, let's say, is 30 years old. They're going to overpay what they could pay for term insurance. The reason is the permanent policy has been averaged out all those years, so their premium does not go up as they get older. The additional amount that they're paying at age 30 over and above the term insurance, or what's called the mortality cost of the policy, that's the risk that they're going to die,
right.
That money starts building up in the policy. So over time, the cash value builds up, and again, that's why they would have the cash at age 100, but it's substantially more expensive at age 30 than a term policy. But if you were, let's say, 50, and you went by, the kids are now grown, et cetera, and you're planning for retirement, you could use a permanent policy to build up cash value and then either just leave it sit there, in fact, after a while not have to pay into it anymore, or use it for income by taking income out of it from the cash value, which you can do tax-free. So a lot of different reasons why term insurance and why permanent insurance or whole life insurance.
But that, when you said it's all right to do this, the reason I wanted you to talk about that is because the topic of our show today is Social Security.
Correct.
But as I look through all the questions I wanted to talk to you about Social Security, it's important that people understand the total effect of what insurance or insurance products
Sure.
can either have a positive or a negative impact. If you have the wrong type, or if you go the wrong person, you and the way you put these packages together for people, you consider Social Security, you consider retirement planning, you consider insurance, you consider term insurance, whole life insurance, but you have a way to look at this insurance package and can help people get out of a situation
Sure.
or into a situation.
Correct.
And that's what your job is.
Sure.
Is to figure out how I can make that person's
Sure.
investment more productive for
Well,
him.
let's look at it this way. If we're talking about Social Security, which I do a lot of work with people
Right.
on, right? And they'll come into my office and we'll sit down and they'll say, how should we handle our Social Security? And as I said to you earlier, Social Security is not something that you choose an option in a vacuum. You have to look at all the pieces. What do I have? When am I going to start this asset? What's it for? There has to be a roadmap. But part of that issue is, let's say, going back to life insurance. Let's say I have a couple come into my office and we're doing planning, and they look and they say, well, gee, in fact, I'm working with a couple right now, and the husband has a military pension and he has a disability military pension. Well, when he dies, that military pension goes away.
Right.
And he may or may not have chosen a survivor benefit on the military pension for his spouse when he left service. In that situation, the wife is looking like, well, what happens to me? That income is gone. That would be appropriate if there was a way to have life insurance planning in that package, because you have to get the money to live on from somewhere, and it's not always available through Social Security to make up that lost income.
You bring up a point when you start talking about this, because I'm very familiar, because when I retired, I took survivor's benefits from my wife. A lot of people said, Joe, why did you do that? And I told them why I did it, because I could have taken that money that I pay roughly $500 a month for to protect her.
Right.
I could have taken that and invested it in insurance, or I could have invested it in the stock market. But I figured it was safer to take the survivor's benefit. But when we talk about the military, at times has an open period where people can be enrolled in
Correct.
survivor.
Correct.
Do you ever get involved in that?
You're talking about guaranteed issue type stuff?
Well, let's say the clients you're working with now that did not take, or let's say if they had not taken survivor's benefit, there is a way. At different times, the military has said, if you pay a certain amount, you can get back into the program.
I don't deal with that. I've not heard about it, and it's a specialty type thing. But I would say that for the people that I normally would be dealing with, they're down at a certain point in time where they have what they have. Just a matter of how do we structure what they have.
Okay.
It's rare that, as an example, if somebody's 60, middle 60s, 65 to 70, said, oh, gee, I think I'm going to want life insurance now, very expensive. Why? It's a big risk to the company. They're older. They may not be in the greatest health. So very, very difficult. So my advice would be, for those listening that might be in the younger end of it, is to put that into the puzzle of what you're planning on doing for your retirement.
How can you do that? What do you do?
Well, same thing. You said, well, another couple came in last week. and they have a 30-year term, and the gentleman is 67, and they've been in it for 15 years. So he's got term insurance till he's age 82,
82?
okay?
Okay.
Guaranteed an amount. So in the planning, we just have to make sure that, well, if he dies before 82, that money comes in. By the way, those proceeds are tax-free. Okay, you do not pay tax on life insurance proceeds in general.
You don't?
No. So you get those dollars tax-free. And so, but if he lives past 82, then there needs to be a plan in place to say, okay, how much more do we need? How much longer do we assume, let's say, the survivor is going to need based on age or on longevity? So every situation is different. So part of that is the same thing. But let's talk about Social Security for a second. Survivor benefit with Social Security.
Okay.
Some people are surprised about this, but the rule is that when you have Social Security and you have a husband and wife, when one dies, the larger benefit amount that's being paid to that right remains, but the other piece drops off.
Right.
And I try to explain to people that when that piece drops off, even though it might be the lower amount, it's still a hit to the budget, the household budget. That money's gone. So there has to be, again, a map, a roadmap, a plan to say, well, if that happens, where do I get the income from? What other sources do I get the income from besides Social Security? So as I said before, you can't organize or choose your Social Security options in a vacuum. You have to say, I'm going to choose my Social Security options based on when is it wise to take it? What if this happens? Should I take it sooner than later, which we can talk about? Why would I take it later? What difference does it make? If I were looking at a plan and I was saying, let's say to the wife, who in general is going to outlive the husband, unfortunately, okay? We want to make sure that that income that's being generated is going to be enough for that surviving spouse. And so as an example, waiting on Social Security, when you wait on Social Security, let's talk about a couple of initials here of terms, right? FRA, full retirement age, which can be 66 and so many months, or 67, depending on the age you were born. That's your full retirement age. And at full retirement age, you get what's called primary insurance amount, PIA, not what you might think it means, primary insurance amount, okay? That's your secret age. That's the age where you're going to get your full benefit.
Right.
If you take your benefit earlier than that, it is discounted. If it's on your own work history, by the way, there's 1,600 plus rules for Social Security, so I'm brushing the top here. I'm just going over.
I know
right?
that, Augie.
All right. So if you take it early, let's say the earliest you take it is at 62, and your primary insurance amount, let's use real numbers, and your primary insurance amount is $2,000 at your full retirement age. If you take it at 62 and it's on your own work history, it's not a spousal benefit, it's discounted 25%. So $2,000 becomes $1,500. You're never really going to make up for that. But,
No.
But I'll give you an example of why that might happen. All right. Now, let's say that, in fact, your primary insurance amount is $2,000, or let's put it another way. Let's say the primary insurance amount of the higher earner spouse is $2,000, and that spouse elects to take Social Security at full retirement age. The other spouse says, I'm younger, I'm 62, but I want some benefits. If that person chooses to take spousal benefits, is what it's called, spousal benefits, which is 50% of the higher earner's primary insurance amount, okay, so $2,000 half would be $1,000, but if a spousal benefit is paid early at 62, it's discounted 30%. So now $1,000, half the $2,000, which is the spousal benefit, becomes $700. Can't make up for that again. So all these issues, well, what if the person is still working? So let's talk about that. If the person is still working and they take that benefit early,
Okay.
all right? And let's say that they're earning $30,000, just to come up with a number here. They already took a discount of 30%. Now they're working, and for every $2 over approximately $14,500, let's say this year, for every $2 over that number, they lose $1 of Social Security benefit. So if they have $30,000 of income and they've taken that discount and now they have $700, what do you think is left in Social Security benefit at that point?
Not much.
Very little.
Very little.
So a disastrous decision. So let's look at another situation though. Why might I do that? Why might I take benefits early? So let's say I always use some NASA subcontractors. Back when they ran out of money up there, right? And a lot of subcontractor employees lost their jobs. So let's say you have a mortgage and you're 62 or 63, and you say, where am I going to get the money to pay my mortgage? They could go and say, I'm going to take my benefits early. It would be their own benefits from their own work history. So it would be a discount of, let's say it's 62, of 25%. So they were going to get $2,000, now they have $1,500. But that $1,500 is going to pay their mortgage payment, and they're going to be able to stay in their house. So maybe they didn't want to do it, but what we teach, and what I teach in class, is something called maximizing your Social Security. Well, that's an area that I would say that's maximizing the Social Security system, not in dollars, not in math, but then I need it now. I'm going to use the system to help me the best it can at this point in time. Compared to maximizing, a lot of people say that means I wait. And the longer I wait, up till 70, I'm going to get what's called delayed credit, so I'm going to get a bigger number. But it's not always the case. Maximizing to me means using the system as you see fit, as you need it.
You have to. You said a key word. Use it when you need it.
Correct.
If I use the system, we talk about taking our retirement early and taking it later.
Correct.
We could be placed in a position where we didn't have a choice.
Correct.
We might have to take it early.
Exactly.
What have you, in the years that you've been doing this, is there any kind of a guideline, or is there any kind of a prognosis for people? Well, I guess maybe if they take it early and they get these minimum benefits, how do they make up?
How is there a fix?
Yeah.
Is there a fix? Yes, there is a fix. All right, and this is how it will work. Use that $2,000 down to $1,500. And let's say during that time, the next few years, they get a cost of living increase. They get that, okay? But let's say that they're 62 and now they're age 64, and they find a decent paying job again, right? Well, they don't necessarily need the Social Security benefit anymore. Now, they can't stop it at 64, but what they can do is stop it when they reach full retirement age. And when they stop it at full retirement age, they start receiving delayed retirement credits, which is 8% simple interest on the benefit that they had when they stopped it. So let's say they had $1,500 and now it's $1,600, and they stop it, okay, at full retirement age, because now they're working, they don't need it. They stop it, they're going to receive on that $1,600 8% simple interest for the next 4 years until they reach age 70, if their full retirement age is 66. So there's a way to at least make up for some of the loss by having to take it early. But by taking it early, they remained in their house. Pretty important.
Yeah.
All right? Let me give you another example while I'm on the subject, though, because you said taking early, taking later.
Okay.
There's an in-between. And the in-between is start, stop, start. So let me give you an example. Well, let's go back even before that. The importance of all these pieces is that in any situation, your Social Security benefit is tax advantage. You do not pay tax on all your Social Security benefit. And there's something called provisional income that determines how much of your benefit that you receive from Social Security you must include in your taxable income. All right?
Okay.
So that has a lot to do with taxation and positioning, et cetera. So anything I'm saying here, the reality is that I'm dealing with a situation where the dollars you're receiving are tax advantage. So let's take a look at this. Let's say we have a couple, to make it easy, and the couple, they're both 66, full retirement age. They're both 66, full retirement age. And they're working. And they say, we'd like to pay our mortgage off before we retire. Or unfortunately, we have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of credit card debt, which we need to get rid of before we retire. Well, how do we do that? Well, this is what you can do. You say, okay, I'm at full retirement age. That means that I can select and I can take my Social Security benefit regardless of how much earnings I have at that point. Once I reach my full retirement age, I can earn as much as I want. I will not have an offset to my Social Security benefit, which is what? Tax advantage. All right?
Right.
So let's say the higher earner spouse, I used to say the husband, but I get myself in trouble when I do that. So higher earner spouse, all right? Let's say it's $2,000 for their primary insurance amount. The lower earner spouse is at $1,000. Why? Spousal benefit, 50% of $2,000. What does that give them? It gives them $3,000 a month of Social Security benefit, which they do not need to pay their normal bills. They're working. They take that money, so $3,000, let's say it was a $60,000 mortgage balance. They take that money, $3,000 a month. In 20 months, that's $60,000, which they have just paid off their mortgage. Now, what do they say to Social Security? Stop. I can stop it. Once I start it, I can stop it. So now they stop it. So now they're, let's say, 68, 2 years. Now let's say it was 20 months. Let's call it 2 years. So now they're 68. From 68 to 70, they get 8% delayed credits on that money. So now at 70, they're going to get the highest benefit, which is tax advantaged. So pretty neat stuff if you understand how to utilize the system.
You hit the key word. I don't know how to do that.
Correct.
And I've talked to very few people that really understand the system.
Right.
So if I went to just a financial advisor,
Mm-hmm.
could I get the same kind of advice that you're giving?
Probably not.
Probably not.
And the reason is that most financial advisors in wirehouses have been brought up in a system. They may be the most honest people in the world. They might be extremely good at what they do, but they're brought up in a system and they're thinking accumulation. Okay? Accumulating dollars, like your 401k and your IRAs, accumulation. When we reach retirement age, it's not accumulation that we're worrying about. When we're working, what we're doing is we're contributing, let's say to a 401k, and we are accumulating. But now we have this block of money, don't we? Well, now what? Now we have this block of money. I always ask a question to people in my classes. I say, so your 401k, and I tell them right off the bat, this is a trick question, all right? So your 401k then is your retirement plan. Yeah, my 401k is my retirement plan. Well, it's not. It was an accumulation vehicle. Now you have the money. Now how do you get the income from that? Is it going to last you as long as you live? What's the taxation? How do I best work this? How do I combine that with my Social Security benefit, which is tax advantage? So those are the pieces. Understanding how Social Security works, understanding the options, but just as important, how does it fit in with the other pieces? The average American, their retirement budget is about 40% satisfied by Social Security and 60% comes from other sources.
And very few people plan for that additional 60%.
Exactly. They might plan, they might have it, but here's the difference. They think that going into retirement, and when I talk about going into retirement, could be, and I'm not talking about 66, but the date that you have in your mind that you want to retire, 4 to 5 years before that date to 4 to 5 years after that date, you're in what's called the red zone. What's the red zone in football? Do you know what the red zone in football is?
Yeah,
20 yards in, right? 20 yards in.
Yeah.
And what I try and tell people, listen, when you're 40 years old, or 45 years old, or 35 years old, you're at the other end of the football field. And you can open up a playbook and run any play in there because the defense has no clue because you have 100 yards to go.
Oh.
All right? So you can throw a long pass, a short pass, a run. You can do all kinds of things. But now you're at the other end. So now you're not 40 years old anymore.
You don't have the options.
You're 60. You don't have the options. You've got what? 20 yards plus 10 yards in the end. The defense knows that. What is the cardinal rule when you're in the 20-yard line or in? Anybody know the cardinal rule? I hear them. They're telling me,
No, what is it?
don't fumble the ball. Don't give the ball away. Well, in finance,
okay.
right? In finances, it's the same thing. It's
how can
don't
you-
fumble the ball.
But when you get to finances, how can you prevent fumbling the ball?
First of all, I congratulate people that come to my classes to find out about Social Security. But here's how you stop fumbling the ball. Understanding that for all your working years, you were contributing and accumulating. That has changed now. Now you're going to retire. It's going to be preservation and distribution. Two entirely different worlds. So when you understand that, then you understand what monies you're going to put in the market, where they should be, and what risk tolerance you're willing to take. The more finite dollars you have against your budget, the more cautious you have to be.
So what you're talking about now is the other piece after the Social Security.
Correct.
And how can we're almost out of time, but how can I early on manage to put something in place that's going to pick up when I get to either the earlier or the late taking Social Security? And how am I going to get from that increment to the day I die?
It's called a roadmap. I call it a roadmap. All right, here I am at point A. How do I get to point B? And how do I get to point C? When I go to point A, what do I need to do? I need to create a plan. All right.
You got 30 seconds to get a creative plan.
Maybe I want to take some of my qualified money, my IRA money, my 401k money, spend that down first, and let my Social Security benefit increase. Why? Because when I hit 70 and a half, what happens? I have to take RMDs. If I spend that down, I have less RMD, and I've let my guaranteed piece that I'm going to have for the rest of my life, Social Security, build up. So those are the types of philosophies that we try and throw out to the general public.
And we're out of time. But
Okay.
I hope, viewers, that you managed to pick up something that you need to go back to August and call him at his office about, because this is so important. And I just want to thank you, August, for doing this today. I appreciate it very much. I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we would welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.